And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Wilt Chamberlain edition. The 7'1", 275-pound center is a two-time champ, four-time MVP, a 13-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA, playing 14 years in the league after being the number 3 overall pick, and he is a Hall of Famer, with career averages of 30, 23, and 4 on 54% shooting. And now I will kick it to myself, who has Wilt ranked the lowest of anybody at 19 overall and 6th on his centers list. First off, I'll give my normal for these 60s guys. The pace adjusted stats for Wilt are 26, 12, and 3. So pretty decent. Wilt is obviously, I think we talked about in a past episode with Karl Malone, the stat monster stuff came out. This is the original stat monster. He 100-point game, averaged 50 for a season, tons of rebounds, tons of points, led the league in assists one year. We can talk more about that in a little bit. He has the historic 61-62 season where he averaged 50 points and 25 boards. But Wilt also came with a whole lot of issues, like not getting along with his teammates, not getting along with his coaches, caring more about stats than winning basketball games, not showing up in big games, not showing up in the fourth quarter, not being able to shoot free throws. So all these types of things. But that will be my opening statement. And that will lead us to what should be Wade, who has him at 11 overall and number 4 on his centers list. But sadly, again, Wade's not here. So that will kick us to Ray, who has him at number 6 overall and number 2 on his centers list. Ray?
All right. Another old dude I've never seen play. Drafted in an era that we've all expressed the most love for of any era of basketball. Sarcasm included. Let's see, I only got like 3 big points. The question is, what made Wilt so dominant? And I'll round up the usual suspects, which are the competition, his size, and then the pieces around him. Let's see, he 30 points, 22 rebounds, and 4.4 assists for his career is a ridiculous stat. So I'm going to name some centers of the 60s, and then I'm going to name centers of the 70s, kind of compare the competition between the eras that he played in. So you got Bill Russell, Walt Bellamy. He played with Nate Thurman, Wes Unseld, Bob Pettit, Jerry Lucas, Elvin Hayes, Willis Reed, Connie Hawkins. And then Kareem comes in the 70s along with Moses Malone, Artis Gilmore, Wes Unseld, Dave Cowens, Bob Lanier, Bob McAdoo, Willis Reed, and then Bill Walton. So, was the competition, was it lacking? Not really, I don't think. So, maybe he was just better than everybody else.
Are you asking, or is that rhetorical?
Well, it's kind of rhetorical / you can chime in if you want. And then we come to his height, which he was 7'1", and he was dropped in the air just right for that. 3 inches in height is a hell of an advantage over anybody you play. And the average height of centers during the 60s and 70s was 6'10". So was the height advantage, part of his, why he was so dominant? I mean, the averages of the ages kind of show that and kind of dictate that maybe that was a factor in how he was better than everybody else. And then we come to, what about the pieces? Rookie year, he had a 7-year vet in Paul Arizin on his team.
My boy.
Second year, he had Paul Arizin third, And then his 4th year, nobody ever heard of. He went back to Philly. Oh, not yet. Nate Thurman was one of the suspects. Hal Greer, Matt Gukas, and then he gets to the Lakers, and then he gets some pieces together. But, I mean, the pieces around him they weren't great, but they were decent. And he won one title with, Nate Thurman, I think. And the rest of the team I never even heard of. And then he wins a title in L.A. with a bunch more pieces. So, was the reason he was great was the pieces around him? That wasn't really a factor. I mean, it was two different sample sizes of one guy against like 4 people to help him out. So, that wasn't really a big deal. So, within this whole thing, my whole point is that Wilt was great in just about every aspect of basketball. The man scored 100 points in a game. Not LeBron, not Jordan, not Bird. The only man that was close was Kobe with 81. So that's pretty much my opening statement. So give it to somebody else.
All right, that will lead us to Drew, who who has him ranked number 5 overall and also number 2 on his centers list.
We're gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Our daily TikTok, which we haven't seen in a couple weeks, and my opening statement. So, saw this stat on Wilt Chamberlain, and I looked it up. The blocks and steals obviously aren't official because they weren't stats yet, but this is what I guess they watched the film. But I looked back, and the points, rebounds, and assists are correct on Basketball Reference. So I went and looked. I'm not just looking at TikTok and assuming it's correct. So he had 53 points, 32 rebounds, 14 assists, 24 blocks, and 11 steals. March 18th, 1968.
24 blocks?
24 blocks.
Wow.
So, yeah. He's, like Alex said earlier, the definition of the stat monster.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, maybe if you cut the blocks down to like 10, that's insane. Like, obviously they're not official because they were not, steals and blocks were not recorded back then, but I'm sure they went back and watched. So, yeah, I just thought that was a crazy stat. I got a couple others, but I'll share them later on. So, that's my opening statement.
All right. And that will lead us to Uncle Doug, who has him identically ranked to Drew at 5 overall and 2 on the centers list.
Yeah, Wilt, if you just look at his statistics, nobody really matches up to Wilt. The things that he did, 100 points in a game. His peak averages, points were 50. Peak rebounds was 27. Peak assists was 8.6. Scoring-wise, he's 7th on the list with his average is number 2. He's number 1 on the rebound list, and his rebounding average is number 1 as well. And assist-wise, he's 84th on the list. He did have quite a few assists. He was a force to be reckoned with. When he wanted to score, he scored. When he wanted to rebound, he rebounded. And we talked about this some in the Bill Russell episode. Wilt won the battles with Russell, but Russell won the games. And that will forever, I think, be how they are linked. He is the only player to have season average of over 30 points and over 20 rebounds, and he did it 7 times. He was just a force. Of course, 4 MVPs. He was second a couple times. Yeah, we'll leave it there for now, and go on with our other things.
All right. Well, I wanted to touch on something before we got too much more into Wilt specifically, but the 61-62 season which is the season that Wilt averaged 50 and 25, has come up in a ton of episodes now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm bringing it up in Wilt's episode, but it came up in Russell's episode, it came up in West and Elgin episode, and it came up in Oscar's episode. So I wanted to dive into that season and the MVP voting that season to try and figure out if I could come up with any reasons of why the voting came out that way, because we've had so many questions about why the voting did turn out that way. I'm trying to find it here on my papers, and I found it now. Sorry. The 62 MVP voting. We brought it up in 5 different episodes now. And here's what I was able to find out. During that time, the players voted for the MVP, not the media. There were 85 players in the league. Okay. And we've talked about Elgin Baylor, who averaged 38 points and 18 rebounds that year. A great statistical season. But only played on the weekends that year and played barely over half the games of the season. So that's why he wasn't going to get a lot of votes. From what I read, essentially the viewpoint of the the players is you can't vote for Jerry West as the MVP of the league when he's not even the best player on his team. So those two I got pretty decent reasons for. Bob Pettit, who averaged 31 points and 19 rebounds that year. Another great statistical season. But the Hawks only won 29 games. So that wasn't going to get him to the MVP. So that leaves us with Wilt, Oscar, and Russell. I don't have reasons. All I have is what happened. And here's what I got. Out of those 85 players, hold on, Oh, here we go. Only 9 players voted for Wilt Chamberlain. And only 13 voted for Oscar. 51 players voted for Bill Russell to be the MVP. The only thing I could come up with, as far as reasoning, is that the Celtics won 60 games that year, and that was the first time in the history of the NBA a team had won 60 games. So, why exactly he got voted over, or Russell got voted over Wilt or Oscar, I can't say. But that's all that I can come up with for the 61-62 MVP voting. I'm struggling to talk today.
Wow.
How different were the rosters?
I don't know.
Like, was one shitty and one better? Or?
I don't know. I guess I can try and pull them up.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that would have been in the Celtics. The Celtics roster is going to be pretty loaded at that time because that's still with Kuzi and Sharman, and those guys will all still been there. Because Sharman retired after 63, I believe. Yeah, they have Kuzi, Heinsohn, both Jones, Ramsey, Russell, Tom Sanders. I guess I don't see Sharman on there, so maybe Sharman did retire. Yeah, well, anyway, I just wanted to cover that. Try and shed some light on something that we've repeatedly brought up in multiple episodes and never really had any answers for. So,
Which it's still not clear, but at least it's better to know a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so while we're talking about 61-62, Wilt's historic season, 50 points, 25 rebounds. I'm gonna quote my brother here and say, let's give that season some context. And during that season, Wilt played the most minutes anybody's ever played in NBA history. I think Drew had a trivia question one day, how many minutes it was per game, and it was 48 and a half.
Yep.
He played every minute of every game. That's 201 more minutes than any player has ever played in a season. So he played an asinine amount of minutes and never even came out in blowouts. He also put up 880 more shots than anybody in any season ever. 880 and 80 in an 80-game season. So in 2 last games, he put up almost 900 more shots than anybody had ever put up, or ever has put up. That's 39.5 shots a game. He did. I can't remember exactly what he did, what he shot. And Uncle Doug, maybe you can help me with this.
506.
Yeah, him. Yes,
He was the only one of the top 8 vote getters that was over 50%.
No, what I was going to say was, like when Kobe scored 81, he had a phenomenal shooting night.
Mm-hmm.
And like last night, I guess just last night, Kyrie went for 60, and the night before that, Karl Towns went for 60.
Oh, yeah.
But they both shot like almost 80% from the floor. Not saying you can shoot 80% from the floor in all seasons. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I mean, like, that's how you put out those big numbers.
Everything's just falling for you.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Will just decided nobody's shooting the fucking ball but me. This is my ball. Give me the ball. Shooting 40 times a game? Even Russell Westbrook didn't do that.
Oh, man. Not even get me started on
Yeah,
that.
let's not bring that guy up.
Yeah.
That's almost as many shots a game as points. So yeah, I just wanted to bring up some of those things. Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty one-sided here, guys. Yeah. Wade's the one that has him ranked closest to me, and he's not here. So I have all you top 6 guys over here, and I'm got him clear down at 19.
Well,
Back to the beginning of the podcast when it was everyone versus Alex.
yeah.
Even when we didn't have him on our list.
I'm like you. I don't understand why he didn't win MVP. You can say the number of shots, but also, and we always wonder about this, but his win share for that season, 23. Bill Russell was 15. Oscar was 15. Even when it's an amazing season. What was their record? What was Philly's record that year?
49 and something, I think. I think I clicked on it earlier.
Okay.
Let me look just to make sure. 49 and 31, yeah.
Okay.
It's an interesting logo.
So, yeah, it sounds like just what you said, because the Celtics won 60 games, Russell got the MVP.
Mm.
And we've commented several times about several of Russell's MVPs were suspect at best.
If not all of them were suspect.
Yeah, I have a hard time with Russell's MVPs looking at the numbers.
We'll have better stats every year.
Yeah, well, and
If
Oscar
they
and
wanted to.
Elgin and several of them.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was going to have... and I do have a question, and I couldn't find the answer. I looked. When I was looking at the MVP seasons, a little note came up on Basketball Reference saying that some of the voting was incomplete, not in 61, 62, but 66, 67, 69, 71. I never could find the details why.
Maybe some of the players didn't vote or something?
I don't know. Yeah. But they just made comment, and they listed several seasons where not everybody voted.
I didn't even notice that.
Well, it only showed up on one of the years I was looking at, and so I just kind of jotted it down and tried to look it up, and wasn't able to find it.
What years did you say? I'm sorry.
65, 66 is the first year that they say was incomplete.
I don't see anything on here. I pulled it up, but I don't see anything.
And back then, didn't they get to vote for? Did they vote for 3 or 5?
3.
3. Okay.
You get 5. It works the same way now. You get 5 points for a first place vote, 3 points for a second place vote, 1 point for a third place vote.
Only now it's the media and then the fans get 1 vote.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay.
Why do you think they took it away from the players?
I think there were some. Weren't there a couple years that they were really suspect who they voted for?
When you could see the players being dumb and vote for anyone. Like nowadays, you'd see people like Taco Falls.
And Rick Barry, I mean,
Yeah, Rick.
Rick was obviously the best player for a couple years, but they didn't like him.
People on his own team didn't vote for him.
You know,
And hindsight's 20/20, obviously, but it didn't fix anything because
No.
we still have the same problem now. Like if they don't like people, they won't vote for
Well, like now,
Yeah.
Kevin Durant never won an MVP. Everyone hates him.
them.
I mean, like after he left OKC, none of the Thunder players would vote for him.
right.
I mean, so if you make someone mad on your team, like when Kobe and Shaq play with each other, you just split your own team in half right then for votes. And no one else wanted to vote for Kobe or Shaq and out in the West because they were all mad all the time. The Kings wouldn't vote for him. That's just an example.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure when Michael was playing, like Reggie and Patrick Ewing, all them were probably mad because he kept beating them every year. And I mean, when you think about it, would you vote for the guy if they beat you every year? I mean, that just get annoying. You'd be like,
Well, I mean, I guess you could look at it this way too. You could look at it and be like, "Well, I lost to the MVP at least. Not,
Yeah,
not some
that's
guy,
right.
not
Sure.
the second best guy."
yeah, there's
Yeah.
just so many. But you're right, Alex. We still have the same problem now. We still argue MVPs.
Yes. It's just.
I mean, the media voted for Steve Nash. The media voted for Karl Malone, and we brought their MVPs up as shams in their episodes.
Yeah.
and I think some of the stuff I was reading, I think it did mention the Karl Malone. Wasn't that right at the end of the players voting?
I thought the players stopped voting 79.
Okay, maybe it was then. Okay. But yeah, they still had issues.
So
Well, I
does
mean-
anybody know
Oh,
the
sorry.
process on how they do the voting? Is they just get everybody in a big room and cast
No,
ballots?
you
or-
can you just cast your ballot from anywhere. You don't have to be in a room.
Oh, okay. So you just mail it in.
Mail it in, email it in. I'm not sure exactly how as far as it's. I would assume at this point it's electronic.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I would
I'm
imagine.
sure they
But
either text someone or.
But I mean, I listened to a NBA podcast called The Mismatch, and Kevin O'Connor is one of the hosts of that, and he has a NBA vote where he's able to vote for awards, and he talks about voting every year.
How do you qualify to get a vote for the?
The NBA has to ask you.
They ask you.
They you have to. It's like so many years of covering the NBA, and then the NBA has to ask you and approve you. So they handpick the guys essentially.
Mhm.
If you can't piss them off.
Yeah, you can't.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it happens everywhere. It's not just the NBA. I mean, if Major League Baseball doesn't like who you work for, they'll pull your media credentials, even if you're a serious reporter.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of how do I put it, shenanigans going on with professional sports leagues and how they want to be covered.
All right. I got another stat on Wilt. Steph, Kareem, Kobe, LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Michael all together have 95 50-point games. Wilt Chamberlain has 118 by himself.
Mm.
Oh, jeez.
Wilt's scoring statistics, whether it's per game, overall, are just asinine. I mean, the only reason the guys that have outscored Wilt is because they played a lot longer for the most part.
Right.
I mean, he played 14 seasons, so it's not like he played like a tiny amount of seasons, but that's not ridiculously long. I mean, what did Kareem play? 21?
20 or 21, something like that.
Something like, Malone played 20.
Right.
LeBron's in year 19. Like,
Kobe played.
Yeah, Kobe.
20.
Yeah,
20.
20.
Kobe played 20.
Yeah, I mean, so like these guys didn't outscore him in 14 years.
Right.
So I mean his scoring numbers are crazy. So let me ask you guys this: Did Wilt? How best to ask this? I guess. Should Wilt have done more?
Done more in the aspect of winning championships.
Done more on the aspect of everything.
I would have liked to have seen him win more championships. I know there's
Yeah.
in the Russell episode, went through several different articles and things, and they compared Russell's teams to Wilt's teams. And I think there were 9 times maybe that they were head-to-head or something. And I want to say 5 of them, Russell had the better team. 2 times they considered their teams about even, and then 2 times they thought Wilt had the better team. And one of the 2 times they thought he had the better team was when he was with the Lakers. One time he won the title and one time he didn't. And that one Laker team is considered a huge disappointment. Would have liked to have seen him win that one as well.
I read a book just like a month or 2 ago on the '69 NBA season, and like that Lakers team was like, I don't even know how best to describe it. Like they were treated like the Big Three Heat, as far as like everybody was like in awe of how much talent they put together, but nobody hated them.
Right.
So like they were like gods almost. Like they were just like expecting these guys to walk on water on their way to the stadium every day, and the way they just smacked everybody in the regular season, and then when they lost the finals and nobody knew what to do.
Right.
They were all just like, what just happened? But the real thing about, I can just get into this, I guess, because I'm going to bag on Wilt for the rest of the episode. That's really where this is going.
I've been waiting for it, and it hasn't happened.
Well, you guys aren't talking back. I mean, to quote Rick Barry, Wilt's a loser. And everywhere he goes, losing follows. And at the beginning of the 60s, you can blame it on Russell having a stacked team. But by 66, you can't blame it on that anymore. And then after Wilt retires, you can't blame it on that anymore. After Russell retires. Wilt, West, and Baylor, 3 Pantheon players, remained together for years after 69, after Russell retired. And they let Willis Reed and Walt Frazier come in and beat them the next year. And then the next year they let Kareem come in and beat them. And then they finally won one. And, Baylor's gone by that point. But Wilt didn't care about winning. Wilt wanted to look good. Points made him look good. And that's what he cared about. And then in the fourth quarter, he hid from the ball because he couldn't shoot free throws and didn't want the ball anymore. And then his team would falter in the fourth quarter. We can talk about some of the things Ray had to say earlier about his teams being so terrible. I don't know that I agree with you. The NBA's top 50 list, Wilt played with 6 guys off of it. 6. That's more than Russell. That's more than Jabbar. That's more than Bird and Magic.
But did he play with them at their peaks or at the end of their careers?
Well,
because like with Elgin was pretty much done.
On 60, he averaged like 25 points a game.
You figure 69, and he retired in what, 71? He was within 2 years of retiring.
Yeah, I think he retired mid-season 72. Yeah,
something like that. He retired the season that they won the title.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was saying he played with 6 top 50 players. Maybe not 50 in our list now, but in 1996 there was 56 top 50 players. He played with Hal Greer for like 4 seasons, and Hal Greer was like the best point guard in the league.
That when he was with Philly?
Yeah.
First or second time, I don't remember which, but
I think it was the second time because that was Hal Greer's a 76er,
right?
Not was it Philadelphia Warriors the first time?
Right, yeah. 59 to 65 was the Warriors. 65 to 68 was the 76ers.
Yeah. You mentioned Thurmond. He played with Thurmond. I think he only played with Thurmond for 2 years. It's like the first couple years Thurmond was in the league. I believe that was the Warriors, but I don't know which city that was in.
Yeah. The whole Warrior thing gets confusing because he played with the Warriors in Philly and San Francisco, and he played with the Philly Warriors and the Philly 76ers.
Yeah.
So 2 stints in Philly, Warriors in 2 cities. Kind of confusing.
The Lakers are the only
San
ones you can keep
Francisco.
straight in your head.
Yeah.
Because, it's L.A. and the Lakers.
Right. Yeah.
Would have been San Fran.
Say what now?
The Thurman year, it would have been San Fran.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Excuse me. I mean, even over the course of their careers, Russell played with 26 All-Stars. Wilt played with 24. To be honest with you, I read this big article about how the teammate differential is kind of a sham. And if we want to talk about teammate differential and like who didn't play with great players and who didn't play with All-Stars or All-NBAs or whatever, there's like 4 or 5 other guys that that are in the Pantheon conversation that play with a lot less great players than Wilt. But anyway.
Well, I actually have something with the whole teammates and all-star thing. I was saving this for Michael's episode, but I guess I'll go ahead and say it now. 'Cause that's
Michael, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is okay. So you got Russell with teammates, all-star appearances, 27. This is what this says. Wilt has 27. Kareem has 25. Bird has 22. Magic and Oscar both have 20. LeBron has 16, and Michael has 6.
He only played with 6 All-Stars?
Yeah, teammates and all-star appearances is 6.
Did you say LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron had 16.
Oh. I would have thought LeBron had more, to be honest with you.
I know, I thought that would too, but I saw it said that Michael has 6.
So what? Scotty, Dennis,
Didn't Ron Harper make one?
maybe
about
Ron
Parrish?
Harper.
Parrish?
I guess he would have played with Parrish.
And these are teammates all-star appearances, so this can be the same guys over again. So it could be Scotty a couple
Well,
years.
Scotty has more than 6 All-Star appearances
Yeah,
by
he should have
himself.
6 by himself.
Yeah, it is interesting. Huh.
Oh, Charles Oakley. I know he made All-Star appearance. 1.
Charles Oakley.
Well, what's his name? Armstrong made one for the Bulls, too.
yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
Scottie Pippen had 7 All-Star appearances by himself.
Maybe 2 of those were where Mike was gone.
Oh, I could
That is
Oh,
counted.
sure.
Yeah, I bet that's right. I bet he did the 2 years Michael was gone, so I'd knock him down to 5.
Mm.
Did anyone else make it that year with him? So that could also with Scotty.
Kukoc, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Because that
either.
could.
I don't know if Kukoc ever made an All-Star game. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. On
That is very interesting. I had never heard that before, Drew. He only played with 6.
I have so many Michael Jordan comparing to LeBron James. So when those episodes comes out, this is all we're gonna do is sitting here, me scrolling through trying to find them all.
You've been stacking them up.
Oh, I've been stacking them up for about probably 3 months now. I just click it, save. Yeah, I'm scrolling. I just saw 2 more. Yeah, I'm ready. Don't worry.
So, here, guys, I have a whole bunch of quotes here for Wilt, majority of which are from players from his era. I think there's a coach in here, maybe something else. But I just want to read some of these because some of these are pretty good. This is from John Havlicek. This is an excerpt from John Havlicek's book, Hondo. Wilt's greatest idiosyncrasy was not fouling out. He had never fouled out in high school, college, or as a pro, and that was one record he was determined to protect. When he got his 4th foul, his game changed. I don't know how many potential victories he may have cheated his team out of by not playing after he picked up his 4th foul.
When did the NBA change from 5 to 6 fouling out?
That's a wonderful question that I don't know the answer to.
Gosh, dang it! I'll look it up.
When things fell apart on the 65 Warriors, the legendary LA Times columnist Jim Murray wrote, "Wilt can do one thing well, score. He turns his own team into a congress of butlers whose principal function is to get him the ball under the basket. Their skills atrophy, their desires wane. Crack players like Willie Knowles get on the Warriors and then start dropping notes out the window in bottles which cast adrift containing the word help."
That's a good one.
This is from Red Auerbach, who believed the Warriors owner Eddie Gottlieb spoiled Wilt's. This is the start of it. He spoiled Wilt something fierce. A lot of times Wilt didn't even travel with his teammates. He was out of control. Auerbach doubts that he himself would have ever been able to coach Wilt. Wilt spent a year with the Globetrotters, tasted big money and stardom, and began to think he was more important than his coaches and teammates. Gottlieb, afraid of losing the big draw, let him get away with it. Chamberlain had become convinced that people came to games in order to see him, and that's all. Therefore, the point of every game was to give him an opportunity to be a star. There is a certain box office logic to this thinking, but it made Chamberlain uncoachable, in Auerbach's view, and as long as he was uncoachable, any team he played with would never become a real winner.
And, it's interesting that Red said that because one of the stories I read was how he wanted Wilt.
He did want Wilt early. I actually have another. I don't have it written down here, but I have another quote from Auerbach that says, talking about how he couldn't coach Wilt because Wilt didn't listen to anybody.
Yeah.
He did want Wilt when he was coming out.
Yeah, he did because he tried to get Wilt to go to a college in the Northeast so he'd get him as a territorial pick.
Mm-hmm.
And since Wilt went to Kansas and there weren't any teams out west, they reverted back to his high school, and that's how Philly got him. He was a territorial pick because he played there.
Well, here's another one. This one isn't a quote. It's a little story. But if you're wondering how Wilt was regarded around the league, this may be talking about the MVP votes. Here's a story for you. In 1965, San Francisco was shopping Wilt Chamberlain. Lakers owner Bob Short was very intrigued by this and asked, because there was a split in the front office, he asked the players to vote on whether or not he should purchase Wilt Chamberlain's contract. The results of the vote were 9-2 against it. Baylor and West are both on that team. Now, I have no idea who voted for what.
Right.
But I do know that once Wilt got to the Lakers, him and Elgin didn't get along.
I kind of see it, honestly. And on the rule change for the fouls, it says it started in 47 and 48.
What? Dang.
Yeah, that's what it says. First it says rule changes did not start until 46, 47, and then it says 1947, 48. Campaign players went from 5 fouls to 6 fouls before fouling out, and the team sizes went from 12 to 10.
They changed the number of fouls and lowered the number of teams?
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Such a weird change-up.
Oh, here's Rick Barry. Colorful Rick Barry.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say what most players feel, which is Wilt is a loser. He is terrible in big games. He knows he is going to lose and be blamed for the loss, so he dreads it. And you can see it in his eyes. And anyone who has ever played with him will agree with me, regardless of whether they will admit it publicly. When it comes down to the closing minutes of a tough game, an important game, he doesn't want the ball. He doesn't want any part of the pressure. It is in these times that greatness is determined, and Wilt doesn't have it. There is no way you can compare him to a pro like Russell or West. These are clutch competitors. This is Bill Bradley. And this is Bill Bradley in the book Life on the Run, which I'm not sure, is that a book like Bill Bradley's autobiography?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't recognize that one.
Yeah.
I should have probably looked that up before I got on here. Wilt played the game as if he had to prove his worth to someone who had never seen basketball. He pointed to his statistical achievements as specific measurements for his ability, and they were, but to someone who knows basketball, they are, if not irrelevant, certainly non-essential. The point of the game is not how well the individual does, but whether the team wins. That is the beautiful heart of the game, the blending of personalities, the mutual sacrifices of group success. I have the impression that Wilt might have been more secure with losing. In defeat, after carefully covering himself with the illusion of his accomplishments, he could be magnanimous. Wilt's emphasis on individual accomplishments failed to gain him public affection and made him the favorite to win the game, and simultaneously assured him of losing. That was very deep. Butch Van Brundikoff, the Lakers coach when Wilt joined the Lakers, is very, very well documented that they couldn't stand each other. The difference between Russell and Wilt is this. Russell would ask, "What do I need to do to make my teammates better?" Then he would do it. Wilt honestly thought the best way for his team to win was for him to be in the best possible setting. He'd ask, "What's the best situation for me?" This is Jerry West in the book Goliath. Is that his autobiography?
I've got a couple Jerry West books, and that's not one of them.
No, it's in the book Goliath, whatever that is.
Okay, I don't know what that one is.
I don't want to rap on Wilt because I believe Russell was better, and I respected what Wilt did. But I have to say, he wouldn't adjust to you. You had to adjust to him. This is Jerry Lucas in the book In Tall Tales. Again, I should have been looking up what these books are because I don't know what that one is either. Wilt was too consumed with records, being the first to lead the league in assists or to set a record in field goal percentage. He'd accomplish one goal, then go on to another. Russell only asked one question: "What could I do to make us win?" This is a quote from Wilt Chamberlain. I found this very interesting because some of what he says is fascinating and some of what he says is dumb. This is Wilt again. To Bill Russell, every championship game was a challenge to test his manhood. He took the game so seriously that he threw up in the locker room before most games. But I tend to look at basketball as a game, not a life or death struggle. I don't need scoring titles or NBA championships to prove that I'm a man. There are too many other useful things in life. Food, cars, girls, friends, the beach, freedom. To get that emotionally wrapped up in basketball, I'm not really sure what happened there. It just says to get that wrapped up in basketball, and then it stops.
That's it.
I have more quote, but there's a gap there, obviously. I think Bill knew Bill knew I felt that way, and I think he both envied and resented my attitude. On the one hand, I think he wished he could learn to take things easier, and on the other hand, I think he may have felt that with my natural ability and the willingness to work hard, my teams could have won every NBA championship if I was totally committed to victory. I wish I had won all those championships, but I really think I grew more as a man in defeat than Russell did in victory.
Man, they really love this guy, didn't they? Holy shit.
Those are my quotes.
Wow.
You all can tell me what you all think. With that actual Wilt Chamberlain quote, the last one there, I'm not sure. Well, I have a few things. First off, I'm not sure if he's trying to convince us or if he's trying to convince himself. And second off, was that just an admission that I didn't care that much, or was he just trying to cover up losing?
I don't think he probably cared as much as Bill Russell did. Or he would have won more, obviously. I think one of the quotes earlier that, Russell wanted to make everybody around him better, but Wilt thought that he was the best chance for them to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me, that's kind of the big difference between them. Yeah, he's kind of an enigma in that way. He didn't seem as well. We've had other players that we've talked about like that don't seem to take it as serious as other guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Bill Russell took it very seriously. Kobe took it very seriously. Jordan took it very seriously. Wilt did not take it as seriously. Unbelievable talent. He could score. He could rebound. Statistically, they couldn't keep up with him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it didn't seem to matter to him as much. It certainly didn't matter to him as much as it did to Bill Russell.
we talked about in the Russell episode that when Russell came into the league, he was bigger than a lot of the centers in the league. Wilt was the biggest guy in the league every year.
Until Kareem came along.
Yeah. Not in the 70s, that's true. But in the 60s, he was the biggest guy in the league. And, okay, I just have a few questions, I guess. I'm just going to ask this. As dominant as a scorer as he was, and not only taller than everybody, but bigger than everybody, why do you think Wilt only shot 50% from the field? I mean, we've seen... I mean, Shaq has like 6 seasons of over 60% from the field.
Right.
I mean, if your biggest competitor is 4 inches shorter than you and like 70 pounds lighter than you, why aren't you just shoving him through the backboard with the ball?
Yeah. Well, but you look back at those times. Bill Russell, like that MVP year we were talking about, he shot 40-something.
Oh yeah, his career field goal percentage is 44. Yeah, I completely get that.
I mean, it's
and the average field goal percentage during that time was 38. I talked about that.
Yeah,
in the Russell,
I would say that's. I think it's just a
Russell.
different time. They just shot differently, and I think they just shot differently then. I really do not remember. I've seen highlights of Chamberlain playing. He would have retired in what?
74, 73.
Yeah. I'm sure I watched him play. I just don't remember that much. I was more of a Kareem fan when I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I was a Laker fan, I was a Kareem fan. And
well, here's what I've always said about Wilt. I think that Wilt, if he played, maybe not today, but in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, whatever, that he still would have been a great center, probably a Hall of Fame center, but he wouldn't have done all the crazy shit he did in the 60s. He wouldn't have scored 100 points in a game. He wouldn't average 50 for a season. He wouldn't have all these. He wouldn't average 23 rebounds for his career, things like that. But I don't think there's any reason to think Wilt couldn't have been a 25 and 12 guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and you kind of wonder with the quote that he made about how hard he played, how hard would he have played had he had more competition?
Contemporaries.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder whether that would have brought. I mean, if how he looked was so important to him, how hard would he have played to make sure he was still the best center?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would have been better for him to play with more competition. He might have been one of those guys. It's all speculation at this point, but the talent was there, but sometimes the drive was not.
Well, I don't know. I mean, with my biggest questions with Wilt come late with those Lakers teams. I mean, we all sat here and gushed over West and gushed over Baylor, and everybody has Wilt ranked pretty high. I mean, even me, who hasn't ranked the lowest, 19 is not exactly low. They played together, and it just didn't seem to work. I mean, at 69 they were heavily favored. We kind of covered that earlier, but then in 70 they returned heavily favored, and Russell's gone. Russell was retired, and they let the Knicks squeak in there and get the title. And again, that's another. I mean, that's Willis Reed. That's another undersized center.
That was probably the Willis Reed hobble back out on the floor.
Yeah.
Was that championship?
No, that's the second one.
That's the second one.
Yeah. Which isn't it?
I don't remember which was which.
Well, I did read an article though that talked about when he hobbled back out on the floor, it was against Wilt and the Lakers.
Okay.
Because they talked about how Wilt didn't score on Reed the rest of the game, And they're like, well, if the guy can barely walk, why isn't Wilt dominating him and scoring every time down the floor? You know, and that was literally the question they were asking: is why didn't Wilt take it to Reed after he came out hobbling back out on the floor? I don't know. I don't know the answer to it. And like I said, I don't remember what year that was. I mean, the Knicks won 2 right there in the early 70s. Was it 70 and 73 or something?
Yeah, I don't remember which 2. I know the Lakers, the like I said, the 69, the one that everybody thought they'd win, and then they won the one, and then they lost the one to Kareem, and they lost the one to the Knicks, which I understand the Kareem one because that was a change of an era when Kareem came along.
Yeah, I mean, that team was pretty. I mean, that team had Jabbar and Oscar on it,
Right.
and
Which again, Oscar was at the end of his career.
Yeah.
It was really Bobby Dandridge.
yeah,
Kareem.
yeah,
Yeah.
Bobby, yeah.
Bobby
And
Dandridge was
I
good.
think we've talked about it before, but Kareem was Wilt's kryptonite.
Yeah, he dominated him pretty good.
He did. But again, it was the end of his career.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Elijah Wana Malone dominating Kareem at the end of his career.
Mhm.
You know, they're still playing, but. And didn't Wilt have a knee injury at some point in there? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it looks like
I don't remember which year.
69, 70. It says he played at 12.
Oh, 69, 70. Yeah, he did play. He only played 12 games. I don't remember the details on that.
I don't know.
I don't know that I'm going to find out, to be honest with you.
Because otherwise, he's pretty.
Because normally they list
it's
if you miss the whole
it's
year.
79, 80, 80, 80, 73, 70-some, 79, 80, 80, 80, and then 12. And then those last 3, he played 82.
I don't know. Some guy named Happy Hairston averaged 20 and 12 that season.
I've heard the name.
Well. All right. Shall we go into litigation?
Sure.
Ray,
Yeah.
got one for you, buddy.
All right.
Why do you have Wilt ahead of Jabbar?
I think that 100-point game played a factor. I mean, 30 and 22. I mean, that shit's pretty decent. I don't know Jabbar is off the top of my head, but I don't know. Did he get close to that?
I mean, nobody got close to. I mean, other than Russell, nobody is close to 22. But
Right.
I think what's Kareem average, like 24 for his career.
24, 6, and 11, 2.
So yeah, I mean, he put up better stats. Ain't got a. What was his title count?
5, right? 5.
Kareem's got 6.
Oh, he's got 6.
Got
my bad.
6.
Yeah.
And what? 5 MVPs.
6.
6. Okay, 6
Yeah.
and 6.
I don't know. I mean, besides the stats in that 100-point game, I think Jabbar had a little bit better team throughout his career. Had a little magic at the end.
He had a better team in the 80s. I don't know that he did in the 70s.
But yeah, I think the 100-point and the points and rebounds were a big choosing point for that. Other than that, I say they're probably neck and neck.
All right, last one for you, Ray.
All right.
Why you got Wilt ahead of LeBron? And I'm going to be honest with you, Ray. I'm going to let you fall into your own trap. That's why I asked this question, so I'm interested to hear your answer.
I'm not going to fall in a trap.
Okay.
I'm interested to see what track he falls into. So I'm drawing a blank.
Well, he gives the same reason every time I ask for LeBron. And if he names that reason, the reason still works for Wilt. That's why I'm asking.
Okay. Never been on a super team, really. borderline. I mean, he didn't go to the general manager and pick the 8 NBA Live titles, off the shelf and say, bring them to my team. So there's that point.
He did force his way out into a trade and then went and played with 2 other all-time greats. But, yeah, go for it.
I mean, he didn't totally disrespect the Cleveland franchise and I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
No, but he didn't. You're right. He did not disrespect Cleveland. You're
We're
right.
gonna win 2,
Might
3,
have disrespected
4, 5, 6, 7 titles.
I mean, he might have disrespected a lot of other players, but yeah.
Or every franchise he ever played for and the franchise he tried to coach.
Well, so he kind of goes along with LeBron then, I guess, and totally destroys franchises, and yeah. So I mean, they're close there. I think Wilt's got him in stats, besides the championships. But I mean, LeBron's really only got 3, right? Because I don't really count that the Corona title.
I never heard it called the Corona title. I've heard it called the Bubble title, but
I've heard it called the Mickey Mouse title.
Oh,
okay.
Because
Yeah.
at Disney.
Because it was at Disney, yeah.
So I mean, the titles are close. He's got him in, stat averages. I mean, the man has 7 scoring titles. How many has LeBron got?
1.
Okay.
Really?
How many total rebounding champs has LeBron got?
None. We
Okay,
don't.
11
I don't know that we expect perimeter players to win rebounding championships.
Well, I mean, you never know. He's supposed to be a power forward and acts like a shooting
Point forward.
point bitch. Yeah. And then, let's see. You got a Finals MVP.
Good.
How many MVPs for regular season LeBron got?
4, I think.
Okay, so they're tied at that. So, I mean, they're kind of neck and neck. I mean, damn, he's even got an assist title. Look at that.
And we all know why that. I think I told you guys on TikTok that someone criticized him.
Yeah, they wrote a newspaper article saying he was a ball hog.
Yeah.
So then he hurt his team for 2 straight years, refusing to shoot, and would stand out of the basket and nobody would guard him and would throw the ball back out to his teammates because he needed an assist.
Yep.
So, yeah. Yeah, I think Wilt's got him pretty locked on.
Oh, my God. All right, I'm done with you, Ray. Oh, man.
Fuck LeBron. Yeah.
Oh, damn. All right. Drew?
Oh, boy. Got my notebook ready.
I'm going to go position to position here
Ooh.
and ask you why Wilt ahead of Shaq?
Well, okay. That'll be an easy page turn here. Shaq should be.
Yeah, just, 2 pages ago? 1 page ago?
Oh, there he is, right there. I think what the whole Shaq thing was, I think Shaq only has 1 MVP. The Wilt's 4. I think Shaq should have won more than 1 MVP. I think, at least I'm pretty determined Shaq should have won more than 1. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not on that, but
I'll be honest with you. We've brought up sham MVPs so much in these episodes. I'm almost tempted for us to go and have episodes whether we and go through and name our own MVPs.
Yeah. That'd be a good one.
that'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
Because we constantly criticize who wins as the MVPs.
Well,
So then it makes me want to go do research and be like, well, what happened that season? Who should have won it? What other people's stats were? Who won what games? All these things. But I'm having to do research for these episodes, so I don't rarely ever have time to do that on top of it. So I think it might make for some interesting episodes if we do that topic later. Anyway, move on. Sorry, Drew.
another key point: Shaq only averages 10 rebounds a game. For how big he was. I mean, I know the possession rate was way lower for when Shaq played than compared to Wilt, but I still feel like for Shaq being as big as he was, that he only got 10 a game. So, I don't know. I just feel like that, as a center, kind of a big deal. So I think that's why I have Wilt ahead of him.
All right, I got one more for you, Drew.
Okay.
Kobe.
Ooh. That's a tough one. I think that's another thing with Kobe. He only has 1 MVP, I believe.
Here's one I've actually looked up before because
Mhm.
I've had this argument with a couple other people. Everybody says, man, Kobe's so great. He should have had more than 1 MVP. But if you go back and really look at the seasons, you can't. There's not one to find. Like, Kobe never really got robbed of an MVP, I mean. Like, you go back and start looking at the seasons once he, hits his stride, and it's kind of like, yeah, I think it's one. Anyway, go ahead.
There might be one in there, but it's because his team won 28 games.
That'll do you.
That's not going to get you.
Yeah, I think it
MVP.
was the year he averaged 36.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you
has
said
that one
earlier,
big.
Bob Pettit, he averaged 31, 19, but when you win 29 games,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get it. I think that's probably the main reason, honestly. I think.
Just MVPs.
Yeah. 1 to 4. I think, and you can say, and Wilt's era, I think, with the MVPs are just as loaded as Kobe's were and Shaq's were, I think. I mean.
All right, I'm done with you, Drew.
All right.
Uncle Doug,
Okay.
why Wilt ahead of Duncan?
Well, let's see here. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong. No wonder I can't find Tim. I'm looking at centers. Tim does have more titles, fewer MVPs, All-Stars and All-NBAs and All-Defense. He's got him. But number-wise, pretty much with Wilt, the numbers kill everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then the MVPs again, which we've again talked about, 4-2. Though Duncan did have more titles, obviously, and he was MVP of 3 of those.
Yeah.
Whereas Wilt was only MVP of 1 of his.
Who was the MVP of the other one? Which one did he win? Was West MVP of theirs?
Wilt was finals MVP at 71, 72.
So he would have not been MVP of the Sixers one in 67?
Oh, I had him down as only 1 Finals MVP.
Yeah.
Well, that appears to be right, but who would have won it in 67 then? Was it Hal Greer then?
I don't know. But he won it with the Lakers? It wasn't West? No, West won it the year they lost. Because
Yeah,
he's the only
60
player to win an
69,
MVP when
yeah.
they lost.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to get it.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
got to know this now. We are
So
determined.
that is interesting. You break through and win a title, and you're not the Finals MVP. All right, Finals MVP. Let's see. Who are you, Finals MVP? Am I missing it, Drew? Do you see it on here?
No, I don't see it. It tells you who leads in all the categories, but not.
They're not listing it.
Did they not? I mean, surely they had one.
Yeah, that's a good
what
question.
the
When did they incorporate the Finals
We
MVP?
talked about this before. I'm looking it up. 69.
Oh, so there wasn't one yet.
Oh, there wasn't one. Okay, there we go. Well,
Although Hal Greer did have himself a pretty great series there. He averaged 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists.
that's pretty good.
You want to know how many points Wilt averaged that series? 17.
So, yeah, Hal was the MVP.
That series, Hal Greer, I just said him. Chet Walker averaged 23, 8 and 3. Wally Jones averaged 20. Billy Cunningham averaged 19, 5 and 3. Now, Wilt did put up some hellacious rebound numbers that series. He averaged 28 rebounds a game in that series.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was during his time period when he wanted to be Mr. Assist, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were talking about. I read an article on this about how Wilt had spent a bunch of time with Russell before this season, and Russell was trying to convince Wilt, like, dude, you'll win all the championships if you get your teammates involved and do these things. And they were talking about how during the 67 season, they felt like Wilt did a pretty good job of doing that and took a step back scoring-wise and kept his teammates involved. And then they won, and Wilt's like, see, I did it. And then 68 went back to being a dumbass.
So then he's back to, all right, I've done that. Now let's go back and do something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I got one more for you, Uncle Doug.
Okay.
And you're not the only one to do this, but we've already talked with Drew and Wade about it. So I want to know why you had Wilt ahead of Russell.
Well, again, it's the numbers. It's the numbers are quite a bit different. I don't know. I struggle with Russell. I'm with Wade on that. The MVP 5-4. Of course, the titles is huge for Russell. But Wilt has such higher numbers, scoring wise at least. Now, of course, I only have him. I guess I have him 2 spots ahead. I also have Shaq in there too.
So you have, okay, let me get this straight. You have Wilt at 2 and Russell at 4?
Yep.
Okay.
And I have Shaq in between.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So
it's the scoring.
Mhm.
Because rebounding wise, they're pretty close, and assist wise, they're close. But Wilt doubles him up scoring.
Mm-hmm. What is it? Wilt's got him by 1 rebound, and Russell's got him by 1 assist, something like that.
Yeah, they're pretty close. Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, I had one for Wade, but obviously he's not here. But I was going to ask him the opposite of what I asked you guys. Wade has the mailman ahead of Wilt. I was going to ask him why.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I do too, actually. But I want to hear what Wade had to say. So does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you have Moses Malone ahead of Wilt?
Well, I thought about this. And I think Moses would have handled Wilt.
He was big enough.
I think it would have been fun to watch.
Yeah.
I would have paid to see that.
But here's my thing. If I would have dropped Moses into the 60s, it'd have been pretty crazy.
Yep, it would have been.
There's another case of if Moses wanted to.
Moses was a hard worker, though. I think that's why his rebound, especially his offensive rebound numbers, are so stupid, is because he outworked guys.
I think after a little bit, if Russell kept beating someone smaller than him, I think Moses would take it serious until he showed that he was more dominant. I feel like that would finally kick in for him, than not Wilt. I think.
I mean, Moses is, and Moses has a bunch of MVPs. He only has the 1 title instead of 2. But he didn't play with near the talent over the course of his career that Wilt did. I mean, he played with Doc at the end of his career and, a couple guys there in Philly, but those Houston teams were pretty bad.
Yeah.
And he took one of those Houston teams to a finals. And so, honestly, I just think Moses-Wilt matchups would have been pretty fierce.
Yeah, I'd have definitely paid money to see that.
It'd have been entertaining.
Yeah.
Anybody else, Drew?
No, that was the only one that really caught my eye.
Cool.
Ray or Uncle Doug?
Let's see. Why do you have Wilt ahead of Kevin Durant?
Why do I have Wilt ahead of Durant?
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably mainly because of just finished product.
Okay.
I think Durant is going to move up my list when his career is over, or if he does anything special between here and there. I think we talked about a couple episodes ago that if this mess of a Nets team is able to win a championship, what it could do for Durant's legacy.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. Durant, honestly, had a really good MVP case for this season until he got hurt and missed all those games, and now he hasn't played enough games to probably win the MVP. But if another MVP would have been nice for him. Durant's still playing at the peak of his powers right now, so Durant still has a lot of room to grow, and I'm just trying to give him that room to grow, and I'll completely reassess him at the finality of his career.
Okay.
Anybody else?
No, I think that's it.
No, I think that's good.
All right. Does anybody else have anything to go on, or we want to do our closing statements?
Ready to close, yeah.
Close it
All
down.
right. Uncle Doug?
Wilt obviously had his issues. Supremely talented. Didn't necessarily have the head to go with it all the time. It would have been interesting to see, as he said himself, had he cared as much as some other players did, what he could have done. But the numbers, as in Bill Russell's 11 titles, are amazing. Chamberlain's statistics are amazing. So,
Drew?
I just think Wilt and all of his stats. I mean, we could sit here all day and just look up stats and points and other crazy things, and Wilt Chamberlain's name would probably be somewhere close to the top, if not at the top by a huge, huge margin. I mean, he did so many unbelievable things when he played back then. I mean, scoring 100 points in a game, we've had one person come within 19 of that. And no one else has really ever gotten with that even close to 80. So I think that says something about him. But
Can I ask a question?
yeah,
This didn't really come up during the episode. Do you think the way he got to 100 takes away from the 100? 'Cause, I mean, his own team was fouling the other team so they could conserve the clock and keep giving him the ball.
I wouldn't say that was the right thing to do. Like, that's a little over the top. But wouldn't you say if someone like the way Kyrie did it the other night, he was beating your Magic by 20 or 30, and he's still out there chucking shots up.
Well, I mean, they did pull him with 8 minutes left in the game.
But they were way up.
I'm not gonna lie, I was rooting for Kyrie to do something crazy because he had 41 at half.
Yeah, I know when they
Right,
did
yeah.
that.
And I was
"Oh,
like,
crap."
oh, dude, can he go for 80? Like, I thought and it was against my Magic,
Right.
but I was just like, those feats are cool. I'm not saying that I don't root for things like that. I mean, I remember I wanted to see what Kobe could do, and I wasn't a big Kobe fan, when he was going for his 81. Even Devin Booker, when he scored 70 a couple of years ago, I was like, oh, this is cool. Keep going, man. Like, don't take him out. I want to see. Because Kobe had another game that season where he was balling, and they pulled him.
right, yeah, he set like almost the whole fourth quarter, hey.
Yeah, and he ended up with like 62 points or something, and he
60-some,
set
yeah.
the whole fourth or something, and you're like, oh my goodness, what would he have done?
Yeah.
Like I always root for those types of things just because I think they're interesting. I don't know. I just thought it was, I don't know. It was weird. He shot 30-some free throws that night. Go ahead, Drew. I interrupted.
I think that's all I had.
All right, Ray?
Just gonna say just a little bit, and just say you might be a shitty human being, but the man got the stats and he got it done on the floor. He might not be in the best closer of all time, but I mean the stats don't lie. So I'll just leave it there.
All right, and that leads to me. I do think Wilt's an all-time great. I think Wilt, like I said, I never asked this question today, though, guys. I never asked if he could play in any era. But personally, I do think Wilt could have played in later eras. Again, like we've talked about a bunch of big men from other eras, I think the question is about today. But I do believe Wilt could play in other eras and be good or borderline great. I don't know. I just don't think he'd be who he was in the 1960s and later eras. I didn't want to come across like I only think negative things about Wilt because I have him 19 on my overall list. But there's just so many interesting and negative things to talk about with Wilt. He kept feeding you. He's like, yeah, I can up that. Oh, somebody else did something dumb? Hold my beer. Like, just kind of who Wilt was, I guess. So, anyway, that's my closing statement. And that will end the Wilt Chamberlain portion of this episode and lead us into trivia.
Have a board, please.
It's right there.
Oh, there it is. I didn't see it.
So I assume you're ready, Drew?
Of course.
Of course.
All right, let me pull it up here. What undrafted NBA player holds the current NBA franchise record in points and for their franchise that they play for right now?
Okay, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, it was a little mumbo jumbo. What undrafted player, and they play for this franchise right now, holds the record for most points in a game?
Most points in a game. An undrafted player who holds the franchise record for points in a game.
And they play for that franchise right now. So it's not like they've left.
Wow. That's tough.
Repeat the question.
What undrafted player holds the record for most points for that franchise?
A lot of silence.
Yeah, this one, wow. That's a tough question, Drew. You really don't want Wade's lead to get cut into, do you?
What?
Wade paying you off?
No.
Oh, man.
I don't even have a guess.
I don't either.
I'm trying to think of.
Guess.
I'm trying to think of really good undrafted players,
Yeah.
and I'm blanking here.
I'm just going to have to concede this one. I have nothing. Looks like Ray's writing something.
Ray's always got to write something down.
It's got to be wrong if I'm writing it down.
All right, I got a guess.
I'm NA. No answer.
All right, I said Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
And I said John Morant.
Okay. Nothing.
Nothing.
Fred VanVleet.
Oh.
54 for the Raptors.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good
He's
question,
been
Drew.
kind of balling out, I think, in Toronto the last couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ever since that championship when they kind of disbanded or whatever, I think he's kind of
Toronto's really made a surge over the last month or two, and they're like sixth in the East now. All right, who would like to go next?
You or me, Ray?
I'll go ahead and go. All right. How many days of a drought did DeMarcus Cousins have before he scored between a 30-point game and the current 30-point game?
So how long between 30-point games?
Yeah, pretty much.
You want days?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wade's gotten to everybody.
They live right across the hall from each other.
All
Hmm.
right, I got to guess.
I wrote down a number anyway.
No, that's no way. That's. All right, I'm ready.
All right.
I put 908.
I said 742.
627.
How much, Drew?
627.
1502 was the drought
Holy
between
cow.
30-point games of DeMarcus Cousins.
Wow.
That's wow.
That's
Okay.
crazy. Okay. I want to stick to my draft trivia. The 59 draft, Wilt was actually number 3
Mhm.
because he was a territorial pick. And in that draft, there were 2 Hall of Famers. Wilt being one. Can you name the other one?
Nope.
Wow.
This is horseshit.
And I didn't look at the draft this time.
Me neither.
Every once in a while I look and then he pulls some bamboozle. Oh, I didn't do the draft this week.
Yeah, right.
So then I just stop. I'm like, I can't guess it right. Huh.
All right. I don't know.
I wrote someone down, I guess. I don't know. Really don't.
All right, I wrote one down.
What you guys got? Got one right?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, what you guys got?
Nate Thurman.
Oh,
Oscar.
Bob Cousy.
no. Wilt was 3. Bob Boozer was number 1, but he did not make the Hall. Number 2 was a guy named Bailey Howell out of Mississippi State. He was 6'7", 210. He won 2 NBA titles
The Celtics.
with the Celtics in 68 and 69. 6-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA. Averaged 18.7 points, 9.9 rebounds, and 2 assists. And he is in the Hall.
Okay.
What the fuck? All right.
Another old Celtic gets us.
Well, I do believe he played somewhere else for most of his career and just joined back up with the Celtics there at the end.
Yeah, he was drafted. Say he was out of Mississippi State. I'm not sure where he went though, but he did go from someplace else to the Celtics.
All right. Well, there are 3 players in the NBA right now that are currently battling it out for the scoring title. They're all 3 averaging 29 points per game. One of them is averaging 29.9, and the other 2 are averaging 29.7. Who are they?
I'm pretty sure I got one.
Knew I should have looked at the stats today.
I've been consistent through the whole thing, guys. After my jail questions at the very beginning, I started asking current NBA questions.
Yeah, you did ask a lot of jail questions there, and who did this illegal thing?
Yeah,
We
like,
went.
Robert Parrish mailed himself a pound of weed and got caught.
Didn't you do something with James Worthy too?
James Worthy and prostitutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Uncle Doug knew that one. Yeah.
I still got the best question though. My boy Tyrone.
Oh my God.
But
All
then
right,
Wade saw it on another source, so that backs me up even more.
I got an answer. I don't think it's right, but
You got something, Ray?
Yeah, give me. Hold on.
All right, I got it.
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, what you guys got?
I got John Morant, Embiid, and DeMar DeRozan.
I got John Morant, LeBron, and Giannis.
And I have John Morant, Embiid, and then I couldn't think of his name, so I just put that dude on the Bulls.
I knew you were writing way too many words to be writing somebody's name.
I couldn't remember his name.
Well, the person leading the league in scoring currently is Joel Embiid. And the next 2 are LeBron and Giannis.
Oh.
Okay, so I had 2 of the 3. I forgot Embiid.
All right.
So we just shut ourselves out on a day that we could have cut into Wade's lead.
Yeah.
If we all came to a consensus, we all could pass it. Oh, not Ray. Sorry, Ray.
Sorry, Ray.
Damn.
Next episode, I'll be like, what is Michael Jordan's initials?
I'll ask what shoe brand. Nice.
So after this week's lack of tallies,
Yeah.
the scores are still as follows. Ray with 21. Uncle Doug with 44. Drew with 46. Alex with 53. And Wade with 58. And Wade's lead was not cut into. And we appreciate you tuning in for this week's Wilt Chamberlain episode. And we would appreciate you tuning in next week for Kobe Bryant. The late, great Kobe Bryant. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.